And good morning, everybody. Welcome. Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl. Bruce, how are you this morning?
I'm good, Eric, and you too. We haven't been cut yet, have we?
We have not. As a matter of fact, I still believe that I have a chance to make the Broncos.
Oh, good. I mean, if we could just be guaranteed about being picked up on waivers, it might make me feel a little bit better about things. But the things that we're working on today.
Did you project me to make the team or not?
I have you making the cut. You will be the 53rd and a half guy on the roster.
Which position do you have me at?
Truth teller.
Truth teller. Yes, yeah. Because Sean Payton definitely needs a truth teller.
Yes, he does. Right? No, we're all good. And off we go. I mean, I was thinking about this yesterday, and we talked about this, obviously, and have talked about this. 1,443 players, by my math, are going to be affected by the last 48 hours and what is going on around the National Football League. 37 players being cut on 32 teams. It's remarkable how many dreams are being dashed even as we speak, or at least irrevocably altered, right? So I know that a lot of people just kind of take this and sweep it under the rug and get me to the regular season, and I get that. I totally get it. But man, there are lives being dramatically affected by decisions being made this week.
I am so glad that you said it that way, because a lot of people only want to look at, what does their team look like heading into the regular season? What does their fantasy team look like, heading into the regular season? There are guys who have played football for well over 10 years, and they are done. Yeah. And many of those, not all, many of those football players probably thought, okay, maybe I don't have to study as hard in college because I'm going to be an NFL player. And then they're thinking at the age of 21 to 22 years old, what am I going to do with the rest of my life?
Yeah. And it's not something to take lightly. I mean, we think about a guy like Damarri Mathis right now, a guy that's started 18 games in 3 years for the Denver Broncos, bless you, that now all of a sudden is going to be a cut, and you hope that he's picked up on waivers. You hope someone gives him a job. But that's not a guy that's probably going to be on a practice squad at $3.4 million. I mean, the Broncos do jettison that contract, but you got to think about the human toll that it takes too. And
wait, I have a question. Yeah. If you go through waivers, and you're not signed by anybody, doesn't that contract get ripped up?
Yeah, it does. It's a void. It's much more. It's much more important for the Broncos from a standpoint of losing the $3.4 million that they are on the hook for than it is anything else. So
and how much of that carries over to next year?
Yeah, right.
So absolutely. That's a big deal.
You're darn right it is.
He was not a salary cap dump. He just wasn't one of the top 5 guys.
Yeah.
I mean, they have enough depth there. But the bonus for them is they save that money and might be able to carry it over till next year.
Right.
For Damarri Mathis, you can live on $3.4 million for a very long time.
Sure you can.
Which is the human element as well, but a lot of people just don't think that way. In the meantime, I want to tell you about Roller Auction. The best way to buy what you want at the price you want is at Roller Auction, the leader. Colorado auctions for over 45 years. Today, Welby Gardens is having an auction for wheel loaders, forklifts, trailers, vehicles, nursery and greenhouse equipment, and more. Online bidding has started from the comfort of your own home at rollerauction.com. And don't forget to go to rollerauction.com to learn about a lot of great upcoming auctions. Get what you want at the price you want today at Roller Auction. Time now for the lead.
The lead is presented by Smokin' Dave's Barbecue. It is not just the best barbecue in town, it is one of the best restaurants in town. You can find Smokin' Dave's Barbecue off 36th and Pecos.
That cover the team, no surprise at all. Broncos waive Audric Estime, Blake Watson, Damarri Mathis. I was told the team had been trying to trade Estime and Mathis for weeks, no takers. So the Broncos running back room is as we expected: R.J. Harvey, J.K. Dobbins, Jaleel McLaughlin, and Tyler Bidet. How do you feel about the room heading into the season?
Well, I mean, I feel good about the room. Now I want to see what the room can produce. I mean, we talked yesterday about the running game or the lack of running game and where we are in terms of confidence with the running game. I'm willing to give them grace, obviously. Wish we would have seen a little bit more consistency with it in the preseason, but you've got a week and a half now to prepare and to really game plan and get into things that you're going to do against the Titans come September 7th, a week from Sunday. And I can't imagine that that's not going to be an important part of the process. I do think that it's a very good protection room. I think it can be. I think it's 2.5 backs along the way to being a pretty good, 2 maybe. Although I think Jaleel McLaughlin is physically challenged in that regard. He's not willingly challenged. He's a willing blocker, but linebackers against Jaleel McLaughlin that's not a good matchup, or defensive tackles or edge rushers, not a good matchup for Jaleel McLaughlin. So we'll see what ends up happening. But yeah, Eric, they've got to run the ball. I do think they've got guys to do it with, and I think that they have made a large upgrade. Let me underscore that. A large upgrade with Harvey and Dobbins at the top of the food chain.
Well, it allows them to do outside zone.
Yes.
Something that they did not do much, if at all, last season. They did it more in Sean Payton's first season. It's funny when you say the word willing blocker, it's really not a compliment. Willing blocker means, he'll do it, but he's not very good at it.
Yeah, that's right.
It's as much of a backhanded compliment as you can get. You and I talked about this throughout training camp, the depth of the Broncos roster. Now we're about to see just how much depth they have. Who gets picked up on waivers? Who gets added to practice squads if indeed guys go all the way through waivers? Estime, I think, would likely be picked up. It wouldn't surprise me if Damarri Mathis gets picked up, only because of his experience.
Yes, absolutely.
Is there anybody else that you can think of that we are expecting to get cut?
I think
if waived.
Let's keep our eyes open on the Jordan Jackson Awazarike, that battle, because I think
one of those guys
is a likely pickup. Those are guys that can all play. It is it will be nice. Well, obviously we're pulling for all of those guys. You see these guys around and they're part of what the Broncos have been doing all in the offseason. You want to see them have a job. You want to see them employed. And so you're pulling for them and you hope that they do. But I do think that there'll be 3-4 guys, probably as many as 5 maybe, that end up on other teams, which is a total departure from the first 2 years under Sean Payton. And it is a good indication of where this roster is starting to go. I was paying attention to former Broncos, of which there were about 5 or 6. Don't ask me to name them, but I was checking them off kind of as I was seeing the cuts being made. And there were a bunch of former Broncos getting cut yesterday. So
saying Bassey's one of them.
Yeah, Bassey was one. McGim, agent, the inside defender, Telvin and McGim or whatever. There were a few, and I should have written them down. I didn't, but it was notable. And I don't think I think that there are going to be guys that stick coming out of the Denver Broncos waiver wire.
So I think there are a lot of ways to look at the depth on your roster. One, how many guys you cut or waive that get picked up, and how many guys do you pick up as a team to fill out your roster, right?
Yeah.
And again, this is an insult with what I'm about to say, and I'm saying it on purpose because we just got off the conversation of these are human beings we are talking about here. So I'll use the insulting phrase that people have used, which is, who are they going to scrape from the bottom of the barrel to fill out their roster? Now think about that. Every person who has been cut or waived, I've just thrown them into one big bucket at the bottom of the barrel, which is a very insensitive thing to say. But let's continue this conversation when I ask you, do you think there is any position group that they need to strengthen potentially through the waiver wire, or guys who got cut? Or are they good pretty much everywhere? Because I don't think they need a starter.
No, I don't think they need a starter. I mean, that much I think is pretty much taken care of. I think that you can always add a little bit in the inside linebacker room. I think that that's probably a place to pay some attention to. We still have not seen Alex Singleton and Dre Greenlaw on the same field in anger. In other words, we have not seen them in a competitive position yet. And I know that everyone is thinking, well, yeah, but they'll be ready to go by the regular sets. That's not a guarantee. I mean, if we haven't seen them yet, what's the guarantee that we'll see them a week from Sunday? I think we probably will, but there are no guarantees. So I would pay attention there. And if Jeremy Crawshaw gets off to a slow start, and he's lacking consistency, I would probably pay a little attention there. I mean, you don't have a lot of room and time to jack around with a young kicker trying to find some consistency, even if he's blasting 65-yarders in practice consistently with a hang time of 5.2. Right. You got to do it in games, and he didn't get a lot of chances to do it in games, and when he did, he didn't do it particularly well. But you and I have also seen him blasting balls into the lower atmosphere. Right. So that's probably a place to continue to watch as well.
So some of you may or may not know, I do another podcast with Nate Jackson at Guerrilla Sports. We discussed Jeremy Crawshaw, and I said to him basically what you just addressed, which is, should they bring in competition for him? And he brought up a really salient point because he played a lot of time on special teams. Yeah. Of course, he was a wide receiver and a tight end as well. What he said to me was, if a guy is performing well in practice but doesn't perform well in games, it is nerves or it is something up here. He has proven that he can do it, but there's some kind of mental roadblock or something going on with him, and that's a hump he has just not gotten over. How patient should the Broncos be with him? Because at the end of the day, they drafted him. He was the only punter in the draft. They drafted him to be a field flipper. And right now, like in baseball, he is Ichiro. He is a line drive specialist.
It's a Hall of Fame thing when you're a Major League Baseball player. Yeah. Not so good when you're a punter. But to your point, Eric, and it's a good one, the first time that it causes Sean Payton consternation in terms of winning a football game, that will be the end of it. There is a short, even for a rookie that has proven they can do it in practice. Yeah. The games are worth their weight in gold, and the first time that he feels compromised by his lack of performance, it will be a done deal, and he will move on. I mean, it's that simple.
I think I saved it. I'm not 100% sure that I did. If I did not, then I will paraphrase on this, and I might very well have to paraphrase on this. So somebody, a media guy, put out a really nice tweet about John Franklin Myers, saying the guy's a really underrated player. And John Franklin Myers responded, quote tweeted, and said, "Really appreciate you saying that." He didn't say I have a lot to prove, but he said, people don't know enough about me yet. They will find out. John Franklin Myers is a valuable guy to this team. The problem is there are more valuable guys in front of him that are looking for or already have new contracts. It is unfortunate. The Broncos, I'm sure, would love to keep him, but they also have depth now at that position. So I'm wondering, is this the last rodeo for JFM, who has been a valuable guy to this team? And oh, by the way, when he came over from the Jets, what were we all saying? Wow, what a steal. And now this could be his last year.
He is the ultimate example to the potential cruelty in the National Football League. You do get paid, but you're always looking for the next deal. And that's where John Franklin Myers is right now. Nick Benito is there right now. They have taken care of others before them. We know the pecking order. JFM has even said, hey, look, I understand the business of the game. We just all want to feel wanted. And he's looking for an extension. It doesn't appear, and we keep our fingers on the pulse of this pretty closely, it does not appear as if there's been any movement either side towards getting him that. To your point, guys like Savion Jones are making this football team, have made this football team. And you and I see him, Eric. This is a guy that can make plays in a very similar position. And this is the cruelty of the game. You just can't keep the band together all the time. It's just right. The way it works. And and I'm not even saying this is on the fringes. This isn't a key position group for this football team. But you draft guys to come in and be under team control for the first 3 years. And that's when you can make hay. And it's been proven. That's when you try to make hay with a quarterback, but you try to make hay with it with the rest of your roster as well, because you can do a lot more to supplement in free agency when you've got a young football team that is much more cost effective. That's the nature of the beast, and that's where we are right now with John Franklin Myers, who I think understands the reality of it very well. Doesn't make it any easier for him.
All NFL teams played their final preseason game on a Saturday. So there are 3 days, in theory, not full days, but 3 days for players to get cut. I want to look at all 3 of those days. Sunday, to me, is if you get cut on Sunday, you're out. And Shedeur Sanders, unfortunately, is a good example of that because he threw the punch. You know, Todd Bowles said, not going to deal with it. You're gone.
It said inexcusable was the word that he used.
And that's why he was cut so quickly. Yeah. I'm guessing if he doesn't throw the punch, if he is waived, I don't think it happens that quickly on Sunday, probably Monday. And I think that you can argue this point I'm about to bring up either way. When you are cut or waived on Monday, which was yesterday, and you look at a lot of the names who, we knew they probably weren't going to make the team. When you look at Estime and Mathis specifically, were they cut yesterday, not today, because it was an easy decision, or because Sean Payton wanted to give 2 guys who really did play a role last year, 2 years ago, an extra day to find a team?
I'm sure that weighs into it. And I do feel like Sean is very aware, after 19 years he should be, is very aware of how things hang in the balance in terms of waivers and being ready to go to another team. He talks all the time about putting good film out there for the other 31 teams. And it was doing it as recently as last week. So I do think that they cheer for these guys. These guys have come in, they've worked hard, they've pushed others around them, they've chased their dream. And I do think, to your point, the timing is important. These guys have a fair amount of tape, right? Damarri Mathis has a lot of tape. When you've made 18 starts over 3 years in the National Football League, I mean, that's significant. And Audric Estime, I think, is going to get a pretty fair shake as well. But yes, to your point, they want, just like with fellow coaches. I mean, I think Sean is very clear about that. You hire these coaches and you bring them along, and especially these young coaches, and develop them with the hope that they will go on and be part of your tree. I think that's a very natural thing to want to be able to do. It ends up being part of your legacy.
I want to continue this conversation about the human element of guys playing football for the majority of their life, and now their career is over. And fans and media, we don't tend to look at it that way. I want to give you another example. Just for fun, how many people do you think work at Fox 31 Channel 2? Soup to nuts, everybody, from people who answer the phone to your IT guy. Just roughly, how many people do you think work there?
320.
Okay. So with that,
it's a huge operation. Yeah.
Okay. So with that, the roster was at 90 a couple of days ago. You cut it down to 53. Just for the sake of argument, let's call it 50%, even though I know it's not 50%. Right. When you are going through camp, you build friendships. When you are on a team the previous year, you have built friendships. Could you imagine? So you said 320, right? You said 320 people roughly work there. With that, could you imagine every single year at Fox 31 and Channel 2 that on a certain day, that roster has to be down to 160?
Yeah.
And think about all of your friends that have been fired and may never work in the business again. That, to me, is the human element, not that we need to spend much time on or really thoroughly address, but that's what these guys deal with. They are more than just guys who are on television every Sunday. Many of them, not all, clearly, but a lot of them collect huge paychecks. We criticize them through the media, through social media. We treat them like they're commodities, just like many owners do too. But we don't even treat them with the dignity of being human, because we're like, good, didn't want this guy on the team anyway. Let's look at Jeremy Crawshaw, what you just said. If he has one bad game that gives Sean Payton some heartburn, see ya, you're gone. Could you imagine having 3 preseason games? All right. How many times did Crawshaw punt in the preseason? 6?
I think like 4 or 5, maybe
4 or 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So picture somebody new to the business walking into the doors at Fox 31. You get 5 sportscasts and you're kind of shaky a little bit. You've been practicing with the teleprompter. You had 5 shows under your belt, and then it's Broncos Sunday, and you stumble over some words and you mispronounce some names, and the boss comes down and says, we gave you 5 shows. You showed some real growth in practices, but when we put you live on air, you were kind of unsteady. Today's Broncos Sunday. It's our biggest ratings day. And I'm sorry, you're fired. Let us have your pass key. Here's a box, and security will escort you out. And, oh, by the way, let's have your playbook, which is your Fox 31 Channel 2 manual.
Yeah. Well, you're right. And you are doing a pretty good job of painting the difficulty in the human element of this game, because it is a business, and we are reminded of the business of the shield, protecting the shield, nurturing the shield, all of the things about the NFL that make it so great and that we love. This is part of the other side of it. And remember, we are in the game of football. Yes, you can get very wealthy playing the game of football, but it's a smaller percentage of players that get, that get generational wealth. And there's most players that don't have very lucrative guarantees at all in their contracts. So, it is difficult. But the thing is, Eric, and I hate to admit this, we have our moments here of reflecting about it, because we've all talked with guys that are losing their jobs here in the next today, tomorrow, yesterday. But by the time that you roll around to that opener, I mean, it's a thought deep in the rear view mirror, and you are ready to move on with the 53 you have. By that time, you'll have 17 on the practice squad. And now we go into life over the next 5 months with just it's a shame that happened to them kind of mentality.
I don't want to be pedantic with my words, but I want to change your wording on something that you just said. And I think you would agree. A lot of these players are not losing their jobs. They're losing their career, something they have worked on for easily 10 plus years. Losing your job means you go to another company where you do that same job. For a lot of these guys, their careers are over at the age of 21, 22 years old. It's finished. With that, I'm going to make a bold prediction that Shadur Sanders will make the Cleveland Browns. Not because I believe Shadur Sanders should be the starter or he's ticketed for the Hall of Fame. Shadur Sanders is going to make the Browns because of something the Browns did yesterday. That's next. Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. Don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corned bake. Man, you got to try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
Spice up your next night out at Nola Jane and Lodo. Authentic Cajun cuisine like andouille sausage gumbo with dirty rice, crawfish etouffee, as well as 6 different po' boys like soft-shell crab and shrimp. Come in before or after a game at Ball Arena. Host a party or party on their rooftop deck overlooking Market Street during happy hour from 11 a.m. to 5. Plus, Nola Jane caters, delivers, and the kitchen is open late night. Make Nola Jane your new favorite spot to eat, drink, and party like it's Mardi Gras.
Ferguson's Heating and Cooling is the best in Denver, and their customers agree. Ferguson's has 165 5-star Google reviews, and here's one from Betsy. Highly professional, prompt, and honest. I switched to Ferguson's when I became aware my former company was trying to sell me a whole new system I didn't need. Ferguson's is an honest, working, family-owned business that'll give you a fair price, the highest quality parts and equipment, and they always show up on time. You can trust the Ferguson family like you trust your own family. Go to fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch in the DTC. Both locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook is a hangout bar or great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, the DTC, and coming soon to Parker. They are the sports bar.
Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk have another incredible promotion. They'll be giving away a Ford Maverick Tremor truck or over $25,000 in cash the weekend of October 24th. Daily cash drawings are every 45 minutes between 10 a.m. and midnight. Players can earn daily entries with every locked-up jackpot or by redeeming players' points on their players' cards. Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos, loose slots, phenomenal promotions, great food, and a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
And welcome back, Hot Takes. Goodman and Haertl. Want to tell you about one of my favorite restaurants in town, Nola Jane in Lodo. If you've never had authentic Cajun cuisine, you really need to go check it out. Mike Goldman, the executive chef, and his team do a fantastic job. If you love great sandwiches, there's a Cajun sandwich called a po' boy, and they got all kinds of them. They have the debris, which is made with really good beef. They have a shrimp po' boy, a soft shell crab po' boy, a catfish po' boy, eggplant Creole po' boy. All of them are really good. Started off with a bowl of award-winning sausage gumbo. Maybe get a side of crawfish etouffee, or just get the etouffee and put it over some dirty rice and catfish. So many great options. Their homemade key lime pie is absolutely outstanding, and haven't even got the best part. Wash it all down with a hurricane, which is so good. It's like a big fruit drink that is loaded with alcohol, but you don't know there's alcohol in it because you can't taste it. It's made with real juice, unlike a lot of sugar that they use down in New Orleans. Go check out Nola Jane, one of my favorite spots in town, right around the corner from Ball Arena. And hey, we're talking a lot about the Broncos, rightfully so, but Avalanche and Nuggets are getting ready to start soon, so make it your pre- and post-game destination. And while you're there, hop on up to the rooftop deck, look over Market Street, and watch the world go by. Time now for What's Trending.
What's Trending is presented by Nola Jane in the heart of Lodo. No one does Cajun cuisine better than Nola Jane. Go see why their award-winning menu is the best in town.
So the Browns have traded Kenny Pickett to the Raiders, freeing up the idea that the Browns will keep 3 quarterbacks on the roster. I think you and I would agree, Bruce, they will. That includes Shadur Sanders. So what should be the realistic expectations for Shadur this year?
Well, my thinking is that he will start as the 3rd quarterback in a 3-quarterback room. Good for him. He's on a 53-man roster. Yep. You take your time to congratulate. That's not an easy thing to do. So good for him. But as you and I know, it's difficult. It's not even difficult. It's impossible to get reps once the season starts. You're basically running scout squad. You're doing things of that nature during practice. The reps that you get are usually more of the other team in preparation for your team to play them. So I think it will be difficult to make up ground both for he and Dillon Gabriel on Joe Flacco, as long as Joe Flacco stays healthy. I mean, Kevin Stefanski has made it fairly clear that Joe Flacco is the number 1 quarterback. Now, I don't know if that's with a wink and a nod. I mean, that it would be with Josh Allen, for instance. Maybe there is some room there, but I wouldn't think so. I would think that they're going to go with Joe Flacco unless there's something either injury-wise or just totally lacking in performance that they need to move on from him. So
I'm going to throw a hypothetical your way.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say week 1, Joe Flacco gets injured. Week 2, Dillon Gabriel gets injured. How good do you feel about Shadur Sanders starting week 3?
Well, at that point, it will depend largely on who they bring in, because I don't think that they've got an answer to that. Shadur Sanders, by my...
Well, wait, hold on a second. So are you suggesting they're keeping 3 quarterbacks,
mm-hmm.
right? Which they're going to.
Well, if you've got 2 injured and only 1 guy that's eligible, you're probably got to bring somebody in.
Yeah, but is that somebody they bring in, a veteran who they're expecting to start, or are they bringing up a backup to Shadur? And is Shadur Sanders, listen, is Dillon Gabriel ready to start an NFL game?
No, but at least he's had, by my accounting, reps with ones. I'm not, Shadur might have had some in the last week, but very doubtful that he's had very little to any experience at all practicing with the ones. He does not look ready to go. And in fairness, why would he look ready to go at this particular point? I mean, he hasn't had those types of repetitions in practice. I mean, he's just not quite there. Can Can you honestly think that you could do enough in a week for either Dillon Gabriel or Shadur Sanders to be ready to start a National Football League game? Probably not at this point. So I think that they would probably hedge their bets unless they're off to an 0-2 or 0-3 situation and they're making the decision that, you know what, we'll just kind of do the best we can with what we have and develop guys for the future.
I have been critical of the whole Shadur Sanders experience. I want to make this very clear. I have nothing personal against Shadur Sanders. My issue is with his sycophants, not him. This is what I hope for Shadur Sanders. They throw him in the slow cooker and let him marinate for weeks, if not the entire season.
Right.
Maybe they can find a way to speed up his processor. Maybe he can see some things on film where he can improve. I understand the best way to become a better NFL quarterback is to play in NFL games, but taking sacks and not having a fast enough processor and not reading defenses well enough has been a challenge for him, even at Colorado. Yeah. I think the best way for him to succeed is for him to sit, watch, learn, and then hopefully next year he is competing for a starting job.
Right.
Now, who would he be competing with a starting job with? Dillon Gabriel, more than likely, or dare I say, whoever the first quarterback taken off the board is by the Browns, because they will most definitely draft a quarterback if they're not overly confident by the end of the season if Gabriel or Sanders is the guy.
Yeah, and we forget totally about Deshaun Watson and where he's hanging out in the ether right now. I mean, you would think that he's done practically for all intents and purposes in Cleveland. You would think,
right?
But these are the Browns. I don't take anything for granted when it comes to the Cleveland Browns and decisions that they make. But to your point, and I want to get to it directly on Shadur Sanders, that it would be best for the player. And look, Shadur is a guy that I do think has pretty good football IQ. How can you apply that IQ to getting better each and every day to the point where later on this season, you might be willing to take a chance on that in a real NFL game? Look, he played twice in this preseason, he played against some twos, obviously, in that first game, and he looked pretty comfortable. He had some moments. The 2 touchdown passes he threw were big-time throws into fairly tight spots. Congratulations. That's great. But then you have last weekend, Eric, he was sacked 5 times. 5 times. It's
and a lot of those, Bruce, were avoidable because when you look at the film, and I watched the game as it was happening, and then I watched analysis by guys like Dan Orlovsky, and you would see guys wide open over the middle, and Shadur would not did not throw the ball where he should have at that time. And then he started to backpedal. And instead of a Sambor shuffle, we had a Sanders shuffle, 23 yards the wrong direction.
Yeah, well, we need more of the Sambor shuffle there in that regard. Well done. I with tip of the hat to Nikola Jokic playing in the Euros right now. Along with Valanciunas, by the way, not on the same teams, but good to see both of those guys playing meaningful basketball. Look, Shadur he just needs time. He's got ability. You and I have seen the ability. He has ability at this level. I think that he is a very intriguing talent. We understand all of that. We talked about this yesterday. The best thing that everyone can do right now is just leave him alone and let him work this out on his own. Let him work it out in some degree of anonymity. Just get your work done quietly. Get better every day, even if it's just by a stutter step. Learn something about your craft each and every day. You've got Joe Flacco. And people can say whatever they want about a 40-year-old quarterback. The guy's won a Super Bowl. The guy's gotten a team to Super Bowls. He's played at a high level. If you're not soaking up every bit of information that you can get from this guy, then that's on you.
I want to add something to this because, again, I've been accused of being a Shedeur hater. You have known me for a long time. In a lot of ways, I can be very black and white in opinions. Mm-hmm. I will color the picture every once in a while. But those that don't know me, not that you really care to know me, but if you're watching the show, clearly you are curious enough about Bruce and I at some level. This is how I look at life. This is how I look at business.
Yes.
I don't care about the labor pains. All I want to do is see the baby. I don't want to hear how hard it is. I don't want excuses. And I sure as hell don't want excuses from other people other than the person who is actually in the moment. That's why I have a challenge with all of his minions. I don't have a problem with him. I'm not a fan of showboating with the watch and all of that stuff. Just go play. I want the kid to succeed. One more quick thing before we run, because I was curious to know your answer on this. With Shedeur being the third string quarterback on this team, how do you think this is going to affect his brand that he has worked so hard to cultivate and monetize now as a guy who we may not see all year except for him holding a clipboard on the sidelines?
I just think at this point, you better worry about the career, and then you can get back to the whole thing, the legendary stuff around it. I mean, there will be time for that somewhere down the road. The time for it is not right now. That's the type of thing that you start to lose the faith of your teammates. If you continue to push that agenda from where you are sitting as the third quarterback on this football team that really is not thought to be a contending football team this season, you part of being a pro is understanding how to read the room. And you can have all of the individuality that you want. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But you have to do it within the confines of how things work in a locker room. And the most important relationships that you will make on a pro football team are the guys that are in the locker room with you, the faith that they have in you, that you are doing all of the things that you can possibly do for the team first. Team first. Individual next. Those guys depend on each other to win football games and make a living. So that is where you better take care of that first before you get into the me, myself, and I. And I think Shedeur will do that. I really do.
Far be it from me to parent Shadur Sanders. He has a really strong dad in Deion Sanders, but you and I are both parents. This would be my advice to him. Whenever you think of putting on that diamond-encrusted necklace that says legendary, don't. Don't wear that right now. But if you decide to wear that, look down, and I understand the letters are upside down. Look at that L, that big diamond-encrusted L that starts the word legendary. The word isn't legendary anymore. It's last, as in last on the depth chart. Let that be your motivation. Not that you were legendary in college, which you were. You are the greatest quarterback, arguably, to ever play in a Colorado Buffaloes uniform. But you know who else was legendary? More legendary, by far and away more legendary? Tim Tebow at Florida.
Yeah.
How did that work out for him? With that, that's Hot Takes Goodman and Haertl. Make it the best possible day you can.